Hi everybody, I'm Amy from the Cauldron, and in today's episode of Dye Time I'm going to be over dyeing some commercially dyed cotton yarn. This yarn is from King Cole, but I cannot remember the range or the colourway. There's about 50 grams of yarn here. It is reclaimed. I knitted it into something and then unravelled it, which is why it's all a little bit crinkly. And I've wound it into this cake. So this is my first ever time dyeing a cake of yarn. Now you can see this is quite wet. I've soaked this in soda ash and water for probably about half an hour or so. And in here I have approximately, I can't remember how much I put in. It's either approximately 0.15 or 0.2 grams. It's somewhere in between those two. I can't remember exactly what it was. Of dark brown fibre reactive dye from Dharma. And when I measured that out, I did wear my mask, and I've still got my gloves on. I've been doing other projects. You can see I've got a bit of a yellow finger there, and I'm just going to try kettle dyeing this. Now normally I don't use heat to set dye to cotton, but I thought I'd give it a go today. See how, because you can use heat, so I thought I'd just try it, see how this would go. I'm now thinking I probably should have used a bigger saucepan so that I can properly cover this, but oh well, it is what it is. Actually, yes, I am going to change. That is far too full for my liking. There we go, that's a little bit better. My little yarn cake is looking tiny in a big saucepan rather than huge in a small saucepan. I'm trying to get enough water in here to cover the top, which I think, yep, it's covered now. I don't know how well this is going to work. We will see. I'm going to just leave this for, well, I'm going to let the water heat up and then let it simmer for probably about 30 minutes once it's heated up. Fingers crossed this works. This has been on the heat for, in total, probably about 40 minutes or so. And it doesn't look like there is any dye in this really at all. I mean, there may be a tinge, but I am thinking this isn't going to work like this. I have dyed cotton and heat set it before, and I've seen other videos where dyers have heat set cotton, but this doesn't seem to be working. I mean, this could be because there's too much liquid in there in regards to how much dye there is. I'm not sure, because what I've done in the past is sort of low immersion, speckled directly onto the yarn and the fabric and then heat set it that way. But this dye is suspended in solution. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn this off, let it cool down, and eventually once it's cooled down enough, I'm going to transfer it into one of my glass jars, and I'll probably add a bit more dye to this because this doesn't seem to be quite as dark as I thought it might, so I'll probably add a little bit more dye to that, and then I'm just going to let it set in my jar like I have done in the past. Lesson learned. I am kind of back to square one on this. So I've put the yarn in here. Yarn. You can see there a little bit of that brown has sort of struck to the yarn, but nowhere near as much as I had hoped. So what I'm going to do is just add some of this in here. I don't think I'm going to be able to use all of it. No, there's still quite a lot of water in there, but I don't think there's actually that much dye left in the pot. It's all steamy. Let's just clean the inside of that. It's warm, it's not really hot. So what I'm going to do now is, I've got the dark brown here, I've got my mask back on and my gloves. I'm just going to dump an unspecified amount in there, give it a mix up. Oh yeah, that is the sort of colour I was looking for, and that 1% I think was just too pale. that is a nice dark brown. I'm going to add just the tiniest bit more in, just for luck. Give it a little mix. And I'm going to leave this now the way I do all my other cotton and plant-based fibres. Now, I've just wiped my damp spoon on this kitchen towel, and look at that breaking from the dark brown. That's all just from dark brown, and I don't know how this will translate into that. Hopefully we'll get some breaking. I don't know what exactly. We have a little look in here. You can see there's been some powder on the side there which has broken into the yellow, but I have just noticed with this yarn, oh, look at that, there's blue specks all over it and yellow specks. That is so cool. That is amazing. This is great. I'm glad I changed this and went for this method that I'm a lot more comfortable with. Yay! Might just add a tiny bit more liquid just to really submerge that cotton. I'm just going to leave this now for probably 24 to 48 hours, and then we can wash it. It's been just under a week since I set this up. Let's give this a little rinse out now. Now, because this is a fibre reactive dye and cotton, I do expect there to be runoff. There was a lot of water left in that, a lot of dye left in that water. Now, because this is in cake form, I'm not going to unravel it until it's dry. I'm not going to wash it properly and unravel it until it's dry, because that will stretch out the yarn and it will just make it very tangled. So what I'm going to do, let's give this a quick rinse. This is cold water, by the way. I'm just going to stick this in here with some more cold water just to try and get rid of a little bit more dye, and then I'm going to leave this in a sunny spot to try and dry off as best I can get it. Then I can wind it into a skein and wash it properly. I'll come back when I'm able to wind this into a skein. I've been soaking this yarn in warm soapy water for about a day now. This is how I wash cotton yarn. I find it's a long method, but it's the easiest method I find. You can see the water is pretty clear now. I change that water every hour to, I don't know, leave it overnight. I change it a few times and until it's clear like that. Now I can just rinse the rest of that soap out and then I can hang out to dry. I don't want to put this in the washing machine because it will turn into a huge tangled mess. This method does take quite a while to finally get the water to run clear, but I find it's the easiest way. If you've got an easier way of washing cotton yarn, let me know, because this is quite a time-consuming one, but it gets the results that I want in the end. There we go. Now I can just hang this up to dry. See, quite a lot of the dye has come out of this, so this should be interesting to see how much is actually dyed at the end of this.
And here is my finished yarn. Now, something has gone on here because pretty much all of that dye has washed out. Here is a skein of undyed yarn next to my dyed yarn. There is very little difference. I think some of these paler areas, compare them, they might be a tiny bit duller, but really there's not much dye on this at all. We do have some darker areas here. Now, I dyed this with dark brown, and this is very grey looking. I don't know if that's because it's mixed with the green that this yarn already was, or if it just only the tiniest amount of this dye actually bound to the yarn. There are some yellow specks running through this, and there are the odd blue specks. Oh, that looks like is that pink speck or is that fluff? That's a pink speck. No, that's fluff. I thought that was a pink speck. That's fluff. Oh no, possibly some little hints of pink. Oh, there we go. There's a nice big pink speck. There are a couple of blue specks through here, but in general, oh, there's one. This hasn't taken the dye at all, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if the heat did anything to damage the dyeing process. I don't know. I've tried to heat set cotton fibres before and it's worked. So I'm wondering if it's because I didn't make a fresh soda ash bath, and I have a tub full of my soda ash liquid, and I just stick things in there, and I do top it up, but I'm wondering if I haven't topped it up for a while and there just isn't enough soda ash in there. So the outside of this got a little bit of dye, but it just wasn't able to dye the rest of it. I don't know. What I'm going to do now is recake this and re-dye it. Again, I'm going to make a second dye bath of soda ash, a fresh one for this yarn, and I'm going to use the same dye, same method. I'm not going to try heat setting it. I'm just going to put it in the jar and leave it for a few days, and fingers crossed this will turn out better next time. Here it is, caked up, ready to go again. Now I did cake this in the same way that I did before, so the yarn that was on the outside before is on the outside again, and you can see there is a little bit of dye there, but if you look in the middle, there really is nothing at all. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Do please click like and subscribe to my channel. If you know what I did wrong, leave a comment down below. Let me know what I did wrong. I publish a new dyeing tutorial every Monday, and I publish them between about 6 and 8 p.m. UK time, usually closer to 6 p.m. than 8 p.m. And I do like to experiment. Sometimes my experiments are successes, and other times, like today, it's been a bit of a failure. So I'm going to go and reset this. I'm going to change the soda ash bath, and hopefully in the next video, which I don't know when will be out, in the next video we will have some successfully dyed yarn. Thank you so much for watching.